Alright guys, today we're going to be doing some seeding. Now this is basically, I'm trying to fill in some bare spots around the lawn. Some are bigger than others. You don't have to go crazy with this. Bare spots, you're just basically throwing some seed down and then going. Now I am going to rake a little bit first just to get some grooves. There's part of this is like the main lawn, you could just throw the seed down, but over here where there's larger areas, you can see lots of dead bare spots. I want grooves to keep it from washing out, and then you want good soil to seed contact. That's what's key. So something I already did is I used the Swordman to basically dethatch or rake everything up, so that way there's nothing that's keeping the seed from contacting the soil. And now I'm just gonna lightly rake it just to get some grooves in these other parts. Whoa. All right, I need you to dump this evenly across that.
All of it?
Yep. Right here. There you go. I'm gonna set it to the lowest setting. All right, so let's see how we did here. You can see there's a nice scattering of seed all around. It's not in the beds, so the drop spreader worked. Now the key is to water, 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 which is pretty easy in the springtime, which is why seeding in the spring is easier to get started per se, but the key is this summer I'm gonna have to water this really well because it won't have the roots to be able to survive the hot summer. And I will be applying tenacity. I will be applying tenacity at a later point. You want to do some kind of starter fertilizer. Now if you're doing starter fertilizer, you might as well do the Scott's starter fertilizer with weed preventer in it that already has tenacity in it. But I have a bag of starter fertilizer and a bottle of tenacity, so I figured I'll do it that method and show you guys. But as you can see, as long as you've got soil here and you throw the seed down, some people will leave it like this and just water it in and it'll actually come in. You don't have to go crazy with growing grass seed, but the biggest key, it will be the watering. So yeah, let's get it watered. All right, time for the starter fertilizer. Now this I'm using a broadcast spreader for because it's a lot faster, and it doesn't matter if some of it gets into the garden beds, the flowers will get some fertilizer too. So a quick tip, what do you do if you put way too much in here? I actually use the Home Depot 5-gallon buckets to store the fertilizer, and then I put the bag, so I'll put this bag so I know what it is, right inside the container with the fertilizer. I'll put it on top, that way I know what it is. It stays fresh, so I don't worry too much about how much I put into the hopper, because I know I'm going to put it all into the bucket after anyways. Alright, so if you want to add another step that really helps the germination process better and helps with watering, I like to add peat moss on top. Now, for this type of overseed that I'm doing, where it's mostly filled in, just a few bare spots, I usually don't go out and buy peat moss, but for larger areas I will. And the reason is just cost, but the reason I love peat moss, it changes color based on how much water is on it. So if it's moist, it's a dark brown. If it's dry, it turns light brown. So in the video right now, I'm looking for a better sprayer nozzle because, well, that one cracked and got rusted. So, but another tip you can do, some people like to rake the seed into the soil. Some people like to aerate first. These are all things that will increase your results. It's not necessary, but it helps make it better. I feel like the Swardman using the scarifier to really rake deep into the soil already loosened up the top layer, and then I did the scraping with the rake to loosen it up again. And so when you put the seed there and water it in, the seed will slowly work its way into the soil and it gets good soil contact. So that usually is sufficient. If your lawn is super dry or it's very bare, you're going to want to do the other options. But because there's so much grass there, the seed usually will do fine just throwing it down on top. If you look at most lawn care companies, they'll aerate, they'll overseed. Some don't aerate before overseeding, they just throw it down. And the key here really is watering. That's going to be a bigger difference than exactly what you do with the seed. So you have to keep it moist. Now there's different ways you can do this. The backyard, it's springtime, so it's been quite rainy, but when it's not wet, I'll just go out there and spray it down real quick with the hose. If you have sprinklers, you can set timers. It all is just different ways of doing it, and I guess what I'm trying to teach you guys is that there's better ways of doing it, but there's no way you have to do it. You can basically, if you want to water it a certain way, as long as it's getting moist, if you can only do it twice a day, once a day, do what you can do and do the best that you can do, but don't worry about it if you're not able to, have a timer go off 5 times a day to lightly mist it or whatnot, because grass will grow even under some terrible conditions. You can see my backup handle is also broken, so I'm just going to give up on using those soon. But my point is, the seed, I've dropped seed on that white gravel before, and it grew in just fine, and I didn't water it, and I didn't do anything. It was on gravel, so it will grow. It's just, we do all these things, these tricks to help it germinate faster or thicker or whatnot. So do the best you can and have fun with it. And it's not that hard. Anybody can do this, and you're gonna have a better lawn just by throwing more seed down. And that's all I got for you. But the watering is crucial. You need to keep it moist until it's germinated, and then once it's about an inch or two, you can scale back the watering, but you're gonna have to keep watering it because it doesn't have roots yet. Well, it's got tiny roots, so keep watering it. I like to water it very often until it's been mowed a couple times, then I'll scale back to every other day, then every 2 days. But if you're seeding in the springtime, that first summer, you're probably going to need to water it at least twice a week, maybe 3 times during the heat of the summer,
because the roots just aren't there yet to be able to handle the hot summer, which is why it's better to do it in the fall. But you know what? Sometimes you don't want to have a very ugly, terrible looking lawn all summer long, so you gotta seed in the springtime. So do your best, have fun with it, and enjoy your lawn.
Alright, I appreciate you guys watching my videos. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. It's what makes this really enjoyable and fun, making all these videos. And be sure to check out the ones below. Have a great day. Bye.